This is a community-supported legal education channel. Find out how you can support our mission at the links in the description below. There's definitely lots of bad actors right now. We're going to talk about one of them next. We're going to talk about Dr. Drew here. So there are reports that Dr. Drew, it says right here, this video is no longer available due to a copyright claim by Drew Pinsky. And the writer, Jordan Ull on Twitter, says the original video was yanked on YouTube. It lists the person org that filed the complaint as Drew Pinsky. And the original tweet here says Dr. Drew is filing copyright complaints to get the video montage of him taken down and effectively erasing and documentation. I think he means effectively erasing documentation of his past statements on the situation. So I thought, why don't we take a look at this video together, and I'll make a fair use of it. I'll register the copyright, and if Dr. Drew decides that they want to take it down, then we have a live copyright lawsuit on our hands. I also want to talk about the story, and I don't want to get taken down. So this is not for the purposes of getting taken down. This is for the purposes of talking for the story, and I should not have any problems with this. Meanwhile, Dr. Drew seems to have backed up the fact that these takedowns are something that he is doing. He says infringing copyright, W-R-I-T-E, which is not how you spell copyright. Infringing copyright laws is a crime. And that's true. So he's doing the truthy thing. He's like, infringing copyright laws is a crime. But, you know, you have to know what's behind that statement. Like, Dr. Drew can't bring copyright claims under criminal law. Like, that doesn't work that way. Like, you or I can't go to the courthouse and file criminal charges. Yet the U.S. attorney files criminal charges. So unless he's going to convince a U.S. attorney that someone has the requisite mens rea or criminal intent to make an infringement of copyright in a criminal sense, make a profit off of it, and has like a criminal intent to do so. By the way, we don't often study the criminal copyright code. So basically it's this. I'm just going to give you the summary from Wikipedia. Laws prohibit the unacknowledged use of another's intellectual property for purposes of financial gain. Violation of these laws can lead to fines or jail time. It's been this way since 1897, where there was a misdemeanor penalty for unlawful performances if willful and for profit. Criminal penalties were greatly expanded in the 20th century, and those found guilty of copyright infringement may now be imprisoned for decades and fined hundreds of thousands of dollars. Criminal penalties in general require the offender knew that he or she was committing a crime. While civil copyright is a strict liability offense, the offenders can be innocent of intent to infringe as well as an ordinary infringer or a willful infringer. So you need to be a willful infringer. You need to be making a profit. It needs to be something where it's not just the strict liability of civil copyright infringement. Strict liability means if you did it, you're guilty of it. Doesn't matter what you think. And then willfulness will come afterwards in a civil, it'll be part of the damages calculation in a civil copyright infringement case. Criminal requires that they prove that you had a criminal intent, that you knew what you were doing and knew that what you were doing was wrong. It doesn't necessarily require that you knew what you were doing was wrong, but that you knew what you were doing, that you were well aware that you were committing copyright infringement. So this is reserved for people who are making bootleg copies and selling them, basically. The original 1897 law was apparently for performances, so think of a stage performance. Someone goes and copies your comedy act, or someone copies your play or your musical or something and then goes and performs it themselves, maybe even goes on tour. It's 1897. Like, you could go on tour for some time before anybody figures it out. So you could make a decent profit off of somebody else's work before being caught. That's the kind of thing we're talking about with criminal copyright infringement. But apparently Dr. Drew here thinks that this is an appropriate thing to bring up when we're going to see the video. He says, hang on to your retweets or erase them to be safe. which sounds like a threat. It sounds like hang on to your retweets if you want to be exposed, or erase them to be safe. So Dr. Drew is doing one of those very offensive things that is very offensive to me and other lovers of copyright, which is misusing copyright law to silence criticism. If you have a criticism of Dr. Drew, you can absolutely use his videos, his news and reporting videos and podcast or whatever, to criticize him. You have to obey the rules of fair use. Let's take a look at whether this video obeys the rules of fair use. So this is another user on Twitter, web_rant. It is up to us to make sure criminal misinformers are held accountable. Their lies will guide people into actions that will cost countless lives. We see you, Dr. Drew. Now, what does that sound like to me in fair use? That sounds like criticism. That sounds like criticism and commentary and news reporting, which are protected fair uses. Again, there's more to the analysis than that. That's only part of the first step of fair use, the first balancing test. But this is definitely not being just outright copied. I also see that it's only 2 minutes and 6 seconds. So let's see if it's a verbatim copy of one broadcast end to end, or if it is a montage like they said it is.
We predicted from the beginning that this is going to be worse than the flu.
It's way less virulent than the flu, so it's a reminder that you're more likely to die of influenza, so go ahead.
So real quick, it starts off with a very short clip
from the beginning that this is going to be worse than the flu,
saying that he predicted from the beginning that it's going to be worse than the flu, and then it's going to do a rewind sound. So somebody's added a rewind sound. I don't think that's in the original.
It's way less virulent than the flu, so it's a reminder that you're more likely to die of influenza, so go ahead and get your flu shots.
He says that you're more likely to die from influenza on February 4th.
Mild, doesn't hurt anybody. That should be the headline. Way less serious than influenza. That's the headline.
So there's a recording of him saying it's way less serious than influenza from February 5th.
You know what the 2% lethality thing is you have there? You're talking about the coronavirus? I think it's less than 2%. It's like 0.02%. Less dangerous than influenza.
So again, he's doubling down February 6th on it's less dangerous than influenza. It's only a 0.2% mortality rate, which we know is not even close to correct. He's on The Man Show, which is what, Adam Carolla? Oh, come on, guys. You can do better than that. You can. Like, this is just sensationalistic bullcrap.
Less dangerous than influenza. Your probability of dying of coronavirus, much higher being hit by an asteroid, I would say.
Much higher probability of being hit by an asteroid. What was the date on that one? That was February 7th.
Asteroid, I would say.
The flu virus in this country is vastly more consequential, and nobody is talking about this.
So he's saying the flu virus is more deadly and no one's talking about it. And that was March 2nd.
Corona thing doesn't worry me at all.
It is a press-induced panic. I am angry about it. It is the flu.
If you're under 6...
So is he can someone help me out here? Is he a real doctor? Because I think a real doctor knows the difference between SARS-CoV-2 or whatever and the flu. Like, even I, who have no medical experience whatsoever besides being trained as an EMTB once, and I didn't do anything with it because I got a different job. He's a doctor. He should know better. He should know how to identify different strains of different viruses. And even if it has flu-like symptoms, like they're two different viruses. They come from two different strains of viruses, viri.
65 and you get it, you're going to have the flu. And you're going to be fine.
Oh my God.
So again, March 14th, he says it's the flu. It's not even like, that's not even close to an accurate description of it. That's like saying the measles is polio. They're two completely different things. They have similar attack vectors, and they have similar symptoms, but remember, the symptoms are how your body is reacting to it, how your immune system is reacting to it. So if getting sick with anything makes you want to lay down, doesn't mean that all the things that cause you to want to lay down are the exact same sickness. That's not how that works. Let's keep
It's
going.
going to be just like the flu. It's going to be almost identical. I can see it coming.
The Americans in 2020 panic is to hoard toilet paper.
Right. And toilet paper and
antibacterial gel.
Right. In response to the flu, right?
A flu.
This guy should have whatever medical license he has pulled for this level of misinformation. It's people like this and Andrew Wakefield that cause people to die.
And it's a different flu. And if you notice, it's Corona 19, which means there's at least been 18 of these other ones.
Oh, yeah.
There's at least 18 of these other ones. And he says, oh, yeah. Guys, what does COVID-19 stand for? It stands for the virus disease 2019. How is it that I know this and a doctor doesn't? This is absolutely unacceptable that this man is this. It has to be willful, right? It has to be willfully ignorant or intentional. Like he's playing to an audience that will buy his scam because they'll continue watching because he's the only one saying, I mean, he's not the only one, but he's one of a minority of voices saying these misinformation things.
NBA now discussing the idea of playing without fans, and UCLA today announcing that their sports are going to be without fans.
I think that's a mistake.
Should the Olympics be canceled? That's funny.
Have you noticed less people out on the streets?
Oh, absolutely. Less people in the trains, for sure. Well, they told them, de Blasio told them not to ride the trains, and so they're not riding the trains. And so I am. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Wow.
Say we do have 100,000 deaths in the country. Remember, we get 30,000 deaths from the flu. This is going to be, we predicted from the beginning that this is going to be worse than the flu. So we'd have to at least have 30,000 deaths for it to be worse than the flu.
Wow. So he's now saying that he predicted from the beginning, I'm assuming that's what he means by we, as in we, his show, predicted from the beginning that it would be worse than the flu. But no, he didn't. He made months of misinformation, which led a rather large number of people to agree with him.
It's not going to happen.
Okay.
That's the point. It's not going to happen.
I believe you.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, and people believed him. Yeah, so the question becomes then, can he use copyright laws like this to take down that montage? I mean, yes, he can. It like in the, you know, whenever you ask your teacher, hey, teacher, can I go to the bathroom? I don't know, can you? That's in that sense, is he able to? Yes, he can physically do the act of filing a DMCA takedown notice. Is it legal? No. And what I'm going to do is register this copyright on my video before we actually put it up on YouTube. And that way, if he does, we have a live copyright claim where we can get attorney's fees and costs for having prosecuted the action.
So I had a fair use question.
Yeah.
This montage, I would say, yes, it is criticizing Dr. Drew and sort of pointing out hypocrisy.
Yeah, and the context in which it is posted on Twitter as well.
Yes, but some of the content is from appearances on other shows like Fox News. So Fox News might own the copyright. Does that make a difference in the fair use analysis?
I don't think so. So the original purpose was news reporting, and now here we're doing criticism of news reporting. Like Fox News chose to put him on knowing that he was going to say those things. So I think that Fox News this is not. So in other words, I think what you're getting at is this the same thing as the Good Mythical Morning thing, where they used a photo of a prison to talk about the prison when they weren't talking about the photo. So this is news reporting, and I think this is clearly a fair use. Also, then, if that's the argument, then why is Drew Pinsky Inc. issuing the takedown notice and not Fox News or The Man Show or whatever, the people who would own that? Because Drew Pinsky doesn't own the copyright on those videos then. If it's not his show and he's not the one operating the camera or someone who's a work for hire for him, then it's not his copyright. So when he's on The Man Show, that's Adam Carolla's copyright, or whoever owns the rights to The Man Show's copyrights. Dr. Drew Pinsky does not own the copyright to Fox News's broadcast or whatever. But we are, again, this is different when, was it Rhett and Link from Good Mythical Morning, when they used the photo of a prison, they used the entire photo, and they were commenting on the prison, not the photo. Here, we are commenting on the contents of the video, but we're only using the portion of the video that we need, and it's being used for a news reporting, criticism, and commentary purpose. You're reporting the news that was reported as news. The Good Mythical Morning photo was not reported as news, like, hey, someone took a picture of look at this news. Someone took a picture of a prison. No, we're doing that here with Drew Pinsky, though. We're saying, look, someone reported, someone gave Drew Pinsky a voice through Fox News or through the Man Show or whatever, and they chose to put him on the air. I think that is much easier to get to a fair use there. Also, it's not like, let's do the rest of the fair use analysis. Is it being presented for a transformative purpose, such as news reporting, criticism, and commentary? Yes, all three. Is it being used for profit? Sure. That's not really a dispositive factor, but yeah, it's definitely being used for profit, but educational, like re-informing purposes, like we're trying to correct the misinformation. Are they using the whole thing or only the portion that they need, which is fair use factor number 3? I'm paraphrasing here. Yes, they're only using the portion that they need. They're only using the literally a couple seconds of each broadcast. So it's a real bare minimum of what they need. They could probably even show a little bit more if they wanted to. Is it market usurping or market usurping? In other words, does it tend to diminish the market for the original work? Not because of the criticism, but because you don't have to watch it anymore. So if Dr. Drew does I don't know how long the original shows are going to be, but at least a couple minute segment on a news program, or maybe even a 20-minute or half an hour or more discussion on his own show or something, you're only using a couple seconds of it. Does that really act as a market substitute? People who are in the market to watch Dr. Drew, can they watch this montage and be like, oh, I've seen everything about his show I ever need to see. I'm now no longer in the market for Dr. Drew. Not because they now realize that he's misinforming people, but because they, think of it this way. If I want to go see a movie, would the secondary, the allegedly infringing copy substitute so that I don't have to see that movie anymore? Let's say I want to go see Blade Runner 2049, and instead I find a meme on Reddit that says, the director did something stupid, and they're making criticism and commentary about the director of, I forget who the director was. Was it Rian Johnson? I kind of forget. Of Blade Runner 2049. If I see a meme on Reddit, is that really going to substitute, and I don't have to go see any of Blade Runner 2049 anymore? I don't have to go see the movie at all because I saw a meme on Reddit. No, that's not market usurping. So that's what's going on here with the fourth factor. If someone watches this montage, are they going to say, oh, I really wanted to watch Dr. Drew before, but now I don't have to watch Dr. Drew because I've seen all of his content? No, this is not that. This is not an outright copy. This is not a market substitute. So no, this is definitely a fair use in my opinion. Now, let me put this disclaimer on here that this is not legal advice, and you shouldn't just go reposting based entirely on what I'm saying. I believe it's correct, but I'm also not going to be coming to your rescue if you get taken down for this. At least not without consideration of more. I have a full plate right now. So you need to do your own analysis and thought and figure out whether you're willing to deal with a potential takedown from Drew Pinsky. If you get your YouTube channel taken down and you get your livelihood interrupted because YouTube somehow agrees that it's a copyright strike or something, and maybe it's your third one and your whole channel gets taken down or something, I'm not going to be held responsible for that. You need to go talk to a lawyer who is willing to be held responsible for that. What I'm going to do is be responsible for myself. I'm going to register the copyright on the video that we produce out of this, and then I'll post it on YouTube only after we've made the copyright application, and we'll go from there. And if Drew Pinsky wants to try to take down my video, then we'll be able to go after him for not only actual damages, but for statutory damages and attorney's fees, because that's how registration works. Of course, it'll be 6 months from now when we actually get the copyright registration from the thing. But you have to wait until it's actually granted, don't you? No, you have to wait until it's actually granted to sue. I can put the video up. The effective date of the registration will be the date that it's applied for once it's granted. So I just have to wait for it to be granted before I sue. But I'll have a valid copyright application from the date that it's registered, from the date that I file for the registration. Yeah, so that happened. Let's all, I mean, maybe another good idea would be to write to Dr. Drew and inform him of how misinforming his videos were, and because he needs to, I mean, come on, people can't be doing this. Like, literally, I've got to try and keep my parents properly informed so they take this seriously, because they're in an at-risk category. And there was a guy who lost both of his parents 6 minutes away from one another. Like, he lost both of his parents within 6 minutes of one another. That is, we cannot be abiding this misinformation from even I mean, I don't get political on this channel, but we're talking about people's lives here. The president talking about how it's just a flu and it's a Democratic hoax and all that. All of this delayed the response and made people who have that confirmation bias ready to go because those people are on their side because they said what they wanted to hear. No, those citizens needed to be properly informed so they could make a decision and have that decision be their own responsibility, rather than have the plausible deniability. Oh, well, the president told me I could continue to not socially distance because he said it was just a hoax, is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And I really cannot believe that we are letting people get away with saying these things. If anything, there should be some kind of restriction on that kind of speech where you misinform people. Like when a doctor tells people you're safe because it's just the flu and it has a very low mortality rate of 0.2%. No, it's more like 3 or 4%, at least for the cases that are confirmed by testing. So we'll find out what the actual numbers were later, but no, that's serious misinformation there, and we shouldn't take this lying down. Yeah, there's some kind of willfulness in there. I don't know about actual malice, but you know, if someone says those things in order to make themselves more popular, that's making a profit. There's some kind of criminality there. There's a criminal intent to misinform. I don't know if that's I don't think that that's a real law, because that sounds dangerously close to infringing on free speech. But in my humble opinion, there needs to be some kind of line where misinforming people about a virus so that you can make a profit has to be right up there with the hoarding and the price gouging, unacceptable behaviors during a time of medical crisis. Let me put it this way. If my mom listened to Dr. Drew and she got the virus because she thought that she was safe and she died, I would be pursuing him for everything that I could think of, including wrongful death, etc. Whether I would succeed, different story. There's things called proximate cause. Not only does there have to be a factual cause, a but-for cause, but there has to be a proximate cause, a legally connected cause. Sometimes there are too many steps in between, and so proximate cause would be a defense to a wrongful death suit where my mother died because she listened to Dr. Drew. But you can bet that I'm going to be exploring it if something like that happens, and he would deserve it, in my humble opinion. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm Leonard French, your favorite copyright attorney. Please leave your comments in the comments below. Please like and subscribe if you like what I do. Please hit the dislike button if you dislike what I do. That also helps the channel. If you really did dislike it, that at least shows user engagement. So thank you to those of you who support our channel financially on patreon.com/ljfrench and sponsors.com/law. This channel would not exist without your financial support. Thank you to our $50 plus supporters in the month of April: Wes Delj, Video Quarantined, John Steele, Gavin Barnard, Eevi, Kyle Mudrak, Spirit Bear, Michael Pearce, Jan Negrey, Daniel Perez, Aspernari, Joe Tyson, Benjamin Hitov, Stephen, Ottah, Cute Grills in Your Area, Longreach Jones, Zachary Chaney, Nicely Done Defense, Wesley Mullen, Mullen PC, Sean McNamara, Josh Baker, Ugly Grill, Gregory, Shielo T, Michael Moore, and Beastman. And the $5 plus supporters are on the LED panel next to me here, and will be scrolling on the screen in front of me, and you're all in the description of the videos that drop. I'll let you go. I love you all. Have a great one. Stay safe, stay healthy, wash your hands, shelter in place, wear your masks if that's what the CDC and the Surgeon General and the WHO are now saying. And just stay safe and healthy, everybody. We'll get through this together. Love you all. Bye.